folks, today I'm going to have a go at making some mixed berry red wine. So here are my key ingredients. I've got 1.3 kilograms of sugar, 800 grams of brew sugar, dextrose monohydrate, combined with 500 grams of dark brown sugar. So the brewing sugar is the normal sugar I would use to make any kind of brew. This I'm adding because I want it to try and give some toffee flavours in the qualities to the wine, that richness I'd like to come through. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. I'm working on the basis that 100 grams of sugar will give me somewhere around about 1% or thereabouts. So I'm hoping that I'm going to finish between 12 and 13%. Let's see if that happens. This is the key ingredient. Super Berries red juice blend with hibiscus and cranberry. Okay, now I'm going to admit, I'm only making this wine because I saw this on sale. And you know me, I'm a Yorkshireman, I've got an eye for a bargain. But when I saw that reduced to 110, I thought, you know what, this is a juice I've never heard of before. It contains just pure ingredients. I think this would be great for a red wine. So it's got aronia, raspberry, pomegranate, hibiscus and cranberry in it. So that sounds nice for a mixed berry red wine. So the fermentation vessel of choice today is a demijohn holding 4.54 litres. So I've got 3 litres of that, that's all I could get. So I'm supplementing it with a litre of cranberry juice. And when the sugar's dissolved, that will bulk the volume up to fill the demijohn. So I've got a litre of cranberry juice drink. It's not pure cranberry juice, it's cranberry juice drink. Bear that in mind. I'm going to use some yeast nutrient just to give the yeast a little bit to feed on. I've got some pectolase to help clarity and break down the pectic enzymes to hopefully get that clear. I'm using all-purpose red wine yeast from Young's. I've never used this before. I'm just going to use half of this sachet and a couple of tea bags to get some tannins in there, because what I haven't got are the skins on the fruits. So the tannins, which are normally in the skins on the fruits, I'm going to do artificially from a tea bag. So I've got my cranberry juice drink. I'm going to begin by putting this into my saucepan just here. That's all in. I'm then going to add my 2 tea bags into the pan also. Time to make some cranberry tea. So heat on and flame on, and I'm now just going to leave this to come up to temperature and begin to make a tea for me. So this is getting close to a boil now. Once it starts to boil, I'll turn it down and let it simmer for 2 minutes. Okay, so down this goes. And 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes is up, so I'm going to remove the tea bags using a slotted spoon. And then what I can do is use the back of a dessert spoon just to squeeze them and get all that flavour out of them and get the tannins squeezed out. Posh tea drinkers say you shouldn't squeeze a tea bag because you're not supposed to release the tannins. Wine and cider makers say otherwise. So I've still got the heat on, and I'm now going to add the dark brown sugar, and it really does smell like toffee. It's definitely got some black treacle qualities to it. That's all in, and I need to stir it now so it dissolves. It's not too bad at dissolving this actually. It's definitely changed the colour from a reddy colour to a dark brown Coca-Cola type colour. And after about 30 seconds, that seems to have completely dissolved. That's good. So I can turn the heat completely off now. And I'm now going to add the brew sugar. And this dissolves really easily. I don't need any more heat on to get this to dissolve. And you can see the physical volume of adding the sugar to the liquid has increased the level in the pan dramatically, probably almost doubled it. And now I just need to work it slowly with the spoon. You can see that there is still sugar there, but given a minute, that will all be gone. And it feels very thick and syrupy. So just a minute later, and there's now no evidence whatsoever of any sugar being there. So I've moved the pan onto a cold ring. I'm going to leave it now for half an hour for this to cool down before going to the next step. Okay, 30 minutes is up. Time to proceed with the recipe, and I'm going to begin by putting 2 litres of the mixed fruit juice into the demijohn. It's got a lovely rich colour. Smells delicious. Smells very healthy as well, actually. So litre number 2. So look at that, that's a really, really lovely red wine colour, very clarity. Smells great. I actually saw somebody say on TV this week that red wine is going to be the fashionable drink this summer. I mean, how does anybody even know that? I mean, I don't know anyway. Maybe I'm a fashionable person now. Right, here goes. This is the cranberry tea with the sugars in. Very brown liquid. I'm trying my best not to spill it everywhere, and I'm not doing too badly actually. So before I go any further, I'm going to add a generous heaped teaspoonful of yeast nutrient and a generous heaped teaspoonful of pectolase into the mix. So here goes one, and here goes t'other. And then finally, I'm going to wash that through with the 1/3 litre of the mixed fruit juice. So it'll bung up to start with, but it'll go. Just while I'm doing this, have you subscribed to my YouTube channel yet? Please do if you haven't. www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. Hit the red subscribe button, press the bell, make me happy. Thank you. Right, I'm just going to leave this for a second and it'll just go ploop. You wait and see. There we go. And now to continue with the mixed berry juice. And I'm overfilling my demijohn, and I don't mind the fact that I'm overfilling my demijohn. I'm going to take 100ml out to take the gravity. And if it does blow through, I'll just simply put a blow-off pipe in to begin with. In fact, I might do that anyway, so it's fine. It's not a problem. Okay, I think I might leave it at that. Nah, sod it. Just going to keep a tiny little nifter of this just to see what it's like. I can't actually identify any of the berries individually, but it tastes nice, so there you go. So here's my demijohn. It's now a nice dark red colour, dark reddy brown colour. Just giving it a mix around, and I need to pour some out to take the original gravity. Okay, I'm just going to pour 100ml into the hydrometer tube, and like I said before, this doesn't go back into the wine, and that does give me a little bit more space now. Now this is about 5 degrees too warm for me to take the original gravity yet, so I'm going to put this in the fridge for 10 minutes and come back to that. Okay, here's my red wine yeast from Young's. So I'm not going to put the whole packet in because it does like 5 gallons, so I'll put what is the equivalent of a rounded teaspoonful, I think, which is probably about just under half the packet. That'll do. I don't want it to taste yeasty, and there's no point in overdoing the yeast because the yeast will build itself a culture and it will create more yeast and more yeast and more yeast in there anyway, so no need to over yeast it. So the instructions with this particular yeast say to pitch it and to leave it to float on top for 10 minutes before agitating the vessel and stirring it in. So that's what I'm going to do. So back in 10. Okay, 10 minutes has passed and the yeast has actually sank naturally. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a swizz around. Yeah, it looks nice to me. It smells nice. Right, I've decided not to use the blow-off pipe. I thought I'd use my bendy airlock instead. And in case you're wondering why it's a bendy airlock, that's what happens when you put a cheap airlock in a dishwasher. Lesson learned. So I'm going to push that in to the demijohn. Now, if this does blow through and make a mess, it doesn't matter because my demijohn is on my kitchen drainer and I can just rinse it down. So I'm not bothered. That's why I'm not going to use a blow-off pipe because it's more messing about. So I'm going to leave this for about 3 days on my drainer. So I'll give you an update on this when fermentation begins. But before then, we need to look at the original gravity. So here's the sample in my hydrometer jar, and in goes the hydrometer. I'm looking at an original gravity of 1.100. So that should be a really healthy end percentage, definitely a wine percentage. Fingers crossed the yeast can handle the amount of sugar that's in there. Anyway, just a quick nifty from the hydrometer tube just to see what it tastes like. As you can imagine, it's very sweet. Toffee, that really comes through from that dark sugar. Sweetness, berries, toffee, yeah. I've got high hopes, I always have high hopes, but I really hope that this is going to come through as a delicious and heavy full-bodied red wine. So there's my demijohn labelled up. Okay, we'll have an update later on when fermentation begins. Catch you then. Okay, 3 hour later update. And we've got a nice cakey looking Krausen on top there. Nice and healthy. We've got action in the airlock. And we can say that fermentation has begun. I'll give you an update in a couple of days' time. Let you know if anything crazy happens. Okay, just a fermentation update 3 days later. And we've had a little overnight flood. Nothing too dramatic. It's not got any further than the airlock. You can see it's raised up overnight, but it's now subsided. So I'm just going to rinse the airlock out and it should be fine, I think, after that. And there we go, one clean airlock. If it floods again, I'll update you. Otherwise, the next film you see will be when it comes to bottling. Good afternoon from the kitchen, folks. It's my mixed berry red wine bottling day. Let's have a look at it. Here it is. It's been in the demijohn for 10 weeks. It fermented nicely for around about a month, but it was very trubby on top and very heavily cloudy. So I've left it to clear naturally in the demijohn, and it cleared lovely. There is a line of sediment down there at the bottom, but this is going to look quite nice in a glass and it should look decent in a bottle. So today I am going to get it out of there and into an array of different bottles, which I will explain to you as I go along. So I need to get that bung out. I'm going to put my siphoning tube in. I'm holding it in place with this clip. The bottom of the tube will be in the sediment line. In fact, it is in the sediment just here. The first bit that comes out will be sediment heavy, but it doesn't matter because that's going to go into the hydrometer tube. So let's do it. And there we go. Yeah, murky, 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 and cleared and into the bottle. That's nice. So it looks quite a Coca-Cola-y colour actually in there. And I think that's because of the sediment. Looking at it now in the bottle, it's a lot redder. So just looking at that, yeah, there is a little bit of trub in this one and sediment, so I am going to filter this one again. It looks nice and syrupy what's coming out anyway. I'm seeing a bit of trub come through, so what I might actually do is refilter the whole lot of this and then rebottle it, because I don't want trub in my bottles. It's not nice. Okay, so I'm going to pour this back into the original demijohn, which I've cleaned out via this mesh filter, and then I'm going to re-siphon it back into the bottles. It's not ideal in terms of oxidisation, but I don't think it'll hurt. I hope. I'll do it as quickly as I can. Yeah, there's plenty of trub coming out of this one. So lesson learned, next time I'm siphoning a really heavy wine like this, which has got a lot of big trub in the bottom, do it into another demijohn first, through a filter, then bottle it. So you can see that was totally worth doing. for the amount of rubbish that's in there. So all I'm going to do this time is simply pour it in through the funnels now. I'm not going to bother with the siphoning tube. Splash. So these are my 5 bottles, and you'll notice that they're all different bottles. That's an old gin bottle or a vodka bottle, I believe, and these 2 are old whiskey bottles. These 2 are sparkling wine bottles. Okay, so in these 3 bottles, I'm bunging them with the bungs that the bottles came with. And I know for wine you're not supposed to do that. I know I'm supposed to use a proper cork that goes all the way in, that will definitely seal, etc, etc. If I was letting these mature to become a vintage, then yeah, I would do that. But truthfully, they're not going to make their first birthday. So I'm going to use these. And if it does leak, and if I do get oxygenation and it turns to vinegar, then it's lesson learned. And if it doesn't, it's worked. So that simply pushes into there. And it's a damn good tight seal, I'll tell you. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I apologise for my rather dishevelled and sweaty appearance. Yesterday was the day of the year that it was 40 degrees. I've been having a bit of a mad one in the kitchen today, doing brewing and baking, and I'm, yeah, a bit sweaty. And that one goes in there. Okay, so these 3 are nearly done, but not quite. Okay, so on these 3 bottles, I'm going to use some boiling water and shrink wraps, which will further tighten and seal them, and hopefully make them more airtight. And that's just give the bottles a nice rinse as well. Now these 2 bottles I want to do a bit differently. In the 70s and 80s there was a sparkling red wine drink called Volari. Some of you might remember that. In homage to Volari, I'm going to put 1.5 teaspoonfuls of sugar in each of these, and what I'm hoping for is a fractional secondary fermentation in the bottle, in the hope that this will make 2 sparkling red wines. So it's just a bit of an experiment. So I've got 3 normal bottles and 2 which hopefully will sparkle. So I've got a couple of bungs, they've been in very hot water. Ow! Very hot water. It makes the bungs more malleable and easier to push into the bottles. A bit too malleable. Ow, gosh, they're hot. Now, if a secondary fermentation does take place in these bottles, those bungs will become missiles unless they're secured in place with cages. So I'm adding cages to the bottles as well, and that will hold the bung in place. There you go, you can see that. Okay, I need to do it for this one. I'll be back in a minute. And I'll just give these a quick rinse, get the sticky off the edges. Now I need to work out the final gravity for this brew. So in goes the hydrometer, and that is looking pretty damn good to me. And I finished on a final gravity of 0.994. That's quite tremendous. Okay, I need to work out the final alcohol by volume for this red wine. So it started off with an original gravity of 1.100. I deduct from that the final gravity of 0.994, which equals 0.106, and I'm going to multiply this by 131.25, which will give me a final wine strength alcohol by volume of, drumroll please, 13.9%. I am very happy with that. In fact, let's just say 14% for argument's sake. Really, really good wine strength. Let's make some labels. Okay, there's my labels. I've just made them in a simple Microsoft Word template. Time to get these printed out. Okay, it's time to get the labels on my bottles. So I've got different shaped bottles with different textured glasses. So I've got to put the labels in varying places. The wine is currently a little bit cloudy after it's been moved around so much, but I'm expecting it to clear up in the bottles over the next few months. And there they are. I'm in the living room, folks, and this is where my sparkling red wine will condition, up here on these shelves next to other wines and ciders and so forth, which are currently conditioning. This is a warm south-facing room. It's connected to my conservatory and it gets extremely warm in summertime, which it currently is. As for my other 3 bottles of mixed berry red wine, the still red wine, this is going to condition somewhere dark and cool for the next 3 months. For the sparkling wine, the conditioning process will allow the sparkle to develop if there is enough yeast which has survived fermentation to react with the sugar to allow it to sparkle. That is a big if, okay? For the still red wine, it is simply to allow it to clear and for the flavour to develop. It's currently the 20th of July. I'm not anticipating opening this until mid-October, so I'm probably going to leave it for 3 months before I open any of these, by which time, hopefully, I might have a sparkle in the sparkling one, and this one will be clear, and hopefully taste like a nice red wine. So we'll have an update mid-October. I'll catch you then. Good evening from the kitchen, folks. It's been a cracking day. This afternoon, I interviewed a member of Utah Saints. Remember them? Something good? Come out of the interview, I find out that Liz Truss has resigned. I need to celebrate. So it's 3 months to the day exactly since I bottled my mixed berry red wine. What better way to celebrate than opening this and tasting it? So I'm just breaking the plastic seal. So I've broken the plastic seal and you can see that that has got some nice clarity. Now this should not be carbonated, so I'm not expecting any kind of a pop other than the sound of the bung leaving the bottle. That's fine. See what it looks like in the glass. So I want it to look nice and clear. I want it to taste nice and smell nice. Look at that. Beautiful red. You reds. Right. Oh, yes. I'm not getting any one fruit in particular on the nose. I think I need to have a taste. Wow. Gosh. That's incredible. That is absolutely delicious. It's so full-bodied, it's unreal. It's so light-coloured that I wasn't really expecting it to be... I don't know, I thought it was going to be a really dry, harsh red, and it's not. It's very medium. It's 14% ABV. I mean, it's medium bordering on sweet. Is it a dessert wine at that? Perhaps I put enough sugar in for the yeast not to use it all. It's absolutely gorgeous. What a brilliant day today's been. Wow. Come on, you reds. That is absolutely fantastic. You know what? This is winner-winner chicken dinner territory. This is a cracking wine. I definitely need to get that mixed berry juice again. I'll have to go back on the film and see what it was. But wow, it's really delicious. I mean, if you can get hold of some mixed berry juice like that, then do it, because this is a really, really good red wine. I am so impressed with it. I wasn't expecting it to be this nice. In fact, I was half thinking, oh, it's going to be a bit... But it's not at all. It's exceeded my expectations. So in honour of the Utah Saints, I think I might have to call this red wine Something Good. Because you know what? Something good has happened. Cheers, folks. The next film that you see will be me opening the one which I've done as a sparkling red. I suspect it probably hasn't sparkled, but we'll see anyway. So I'll catch you on the next bit of film. Cheers. Kitchen, folks. It's the second of my mixed berry red wine opening nights. This is 1 week after the previous film, and this is my sparkling red wine, or what was planned to be sparkling red wine. I can't see any evidence of the bung being raised. This has been in the bottle since the 20th of July, and it's now the 26th of October. So yeah, it's been quite a while. So if it was going to raise, it would have raised by now. So I suspect it won't be sparkling, but it's been chilled, so at least I can still compare the chilled version of this to what was at room temperature last week. And if it does sparkle, then that's a blooming bonus, isn't it? Right, let's have a look. So it's been a busy old night in the kitchen tonight. Been making chocolate, fruit and nut flapjacks. Recipe incoming probably in January. And I've also made a biryani, but I didn't film that one. Right, am I going to get a pop? Need to use this. Let's try again. Am I going to get a pop? No! Didn't think I would though, did I? Right, so it's 14% ABV. The yeast has had its day. That's why there's no sparkle. It's as simple as that. It couldn't take any more. So fair enough. So I've now got a cold red wine, which was not a dark red by any means. It was more amber coloured. Well, somewhere between amber and ruby. I mean, I've had ales that are a similar colour to that before. Be quite a nice ale colour actually, wouldn't it? So, it smells exactly the same as it did last week. Wow, and it's still got that powerful flavour, packed with flavour, my golly. Now, do I prefer it cold or did I prefer it last week? This is a good question. Not a lot in it really. I think if I had to, you know, stick a flag in the sand in one of the areas, I think I'd have probably gone with last week's at room temperature, if I'm quite honest. But there's not a lot in it in terms of what you get out of it. It's very full-bodied, just like last week's was. In fact, it's pretty much identical to what last week's was. Marginally sweeter because of that sugar that I put in there, but really that's it. So it's very pleasant, it's very drinkable, but it's 14%, so I'm definitely not having anything else tonight. Anyway, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. It's been a long journey, this one, from start to finish, but I think it's been worth it just to see how it developed. So I'll catch you on the next film, whatever that may be. It's going to be a cooking one, let's face it. I'm trying to alternate now, so it's a brew film one week, then a cooking film, then a brew film, then a cooking film, or something like that. Anyway, folks, pleasure, and I'll catch you on the next film. The film that you've just watched is a Moss Home and Garden production. You can find more by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. I'd just like to say thank you very much for supporting my YouTube channel and for watching my films. It really is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to receive future updates about the home and garden films which I upload. You can find my YouTube channel by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. Please click on the red subscribe button. When you've done that, a little bell will appear. If you press that also, then you'll get future updates about the films which I upload. If you like my films, if you like my style of filming, then you might also like my travel channel, which you will find by going to youtube.com/Stuart Moss or type in www.mosstravel.tv. Again, if you could subscribe to that channel, it would be hugely appreciated. If you'd like to get Moss Home and Garden updates on Facebook, then please open Facebook and do a search for Moss Home and Garden, and you will find the page. If you like the page, then you will get future updates on there. And if you'd like to connect on Instagram for home, garden and travel photography, as well as some stories, then my username is Stu Moss, STUMOSS. If you'd like to connect on Twitter, then my username is @StuartMoss. And if you'd like to contact me about film usage or any other issue, please just email me on stewmosshomegarden@gmail.com. Once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel, for watching my films. I do appreciate it. I'd just like you all to have a great day.